Hey guys, most knee pains are really easy to fix. What I usually see in clinics is a mixture of patellofemoral pain or quadriceps tendon issues or patella tendon issues or maybe some meniscal tears or ACL injuries or arthritis. A lot of them have a same rehab path or a similar rehab journey with some small and minor differences for each of them, which can be tailor-made to you by your physiotherapist. But I'm going to show you a great pathway that you can start on if you're someone who has generalized knee pain. Now, early on in your journey, you may be swollen, you may be sore. It may be a good idea for you to start exercises on the bed. These are usually very unlikely to flare up your symptoms, and they're still a great way to get started while your knee is swollen, sore, or inflamed. So let me start by showing you some very simple exercises you can do just by starting to lie on the bed. You can generally never go wrong by starting on the bed and strengthening your hips. So you can start doing that by doing some bridges. So you can do bridges on 2 legs to get your glutes starting to work. When you get good enough, you can do it on 1 leg, and eventually, when you get good enough, you can do it on 1.5 legs. So 1 leg would be fully straight out, try to lift just as high, and eventually you're gonna do that completely on 1 leg, which is harder for most people. Now, I like to say about 20 of these is a good way to go. If you can get to 20 of the first one, you can move on to the next one. So 20 of a 1.5, and then 20 of the single legs. If you can't quite reach as high, it tells you you need to work on that for a while. So you're going to start by working on your glutes. Why this is important is because if your thigh bone is not secure, if it's wobbling and there's a little bit less control because your glutes aren't strong enough, your knee is going to twist, particularly when you land, particularly when you run, particularly when you squat or lunge in a quick fashion. Your knee could get twisted, and that can lead to some meniscal issues or some inflammation or some patellofemoral issues because the kneecap isn't sitting in the right place. So getting strong in your glutes is never a bad place to start, and it usually is an exercise that does not flare up your knee at all. You could also work on your side glutes. So the glutes does mostly your gluteus maximus and your hamstrings, let's say. Side glutes, I like to use a band around the knees. And we're going to try and lift fairly high, hold for a bit. Again, we're going to aim for 20 reps. And you've seen me do this before. If you get good at that, bring the band lower. Until over time, it goes to your ankles, and you should be trying to aim for 20 reps, side lying as well. This is a really good exercise for people with glute tendinopathy or hip pain in general. And if you're not very strong in your side glutes, what often happens is you develop a Trendelenburg side, where if you stand on 1 leg, you'll see a hip drop. And sometimes you can see that when people are running, the hips are dropping, swaying a little bit all over the place, and that doesn't create a very solid platform for those knees to be operating. So your quads can't work as well if it doesn't have a stable femur to work on. Now back to the bridges. If we extend our legs further out, we're going to be doing hamstrings more. So glutes more up here, hamstrings more down there. Same principle, 2 legs, 1.5 leg, 1 leg. Now for the hip flexors and the quads, we can still work on it, believe it or not, lying on the bed. Put an ankle weight, put a blanket, put a bed sheet, put it around your ankle, lie on your back, knee straight, hold for a bit and back down. Hold for a bit and back down. Now early in the ACL rehab, some surgeons don't like you to do this. That's probably the only exception to the rule, I would say, to doing this exercise. Don't want to get your surgeons angry, although the evidence behind doing this harming your ACL tendon is a little bit up for grabs at the moment. For a bigger challenge to really get your quads and hip flexors working, do little circles. That can be very, very tiring very quickly. Finally, for your hip adductors, squeeze. You can do it sitting, but for a bigger challenge, put it between your ankles while you're lying supine. Squeeze, hold for a few seconds. Again, getting that up to 20 reps is a really good exercise. So as you can see, even early on in your knee rehab, while your knee's still swollen, you don't have to only rest. So if you can do these exercises, it doesn't make your swelling worse, it doesn't make your pain worse, you may as well just get started. The only exception to this might be if you've had a full MCL or a ligament tear and the surgeon wants you in a brace and to avoid certain movements. In that case, listen to your specialist. But for the majority of conditions, it's very wise to start strengthening your quads, your hip flexors, your adductors, your hip abductors. Strengthen your whole hip, starting from the front all the way around the side to the back. That's what we're trying to do to try and get a holistic rehab of your knee, even when you're in bed. Let's say you've injured yourself and you've done this for a few weeks. What's the next step? Is starting to get yourself into weight-bearing exercises, which means squats, lunges, bulgarians. During the bed rehab phase, it's likely that you're starting to walk and you're starting to power walk. Now it's about time that you can start to consider a little bit of a jog. But before we even do that, let's start thinking about how we can stretch all the muscles around the knee. Now, we've done this before, but if you have very tight quads, it's going to pull your kneecap up out of the socket and it's going to cause patellofemoral pain and early knee arthritis. What are you going to do about it? You're just going to stretch your quads. Pull the foot to the bottom, chest up very tall. Think of posteriorly rotating the pelvis as you do this. Switching on the glutes can help you feel a bigger stretch. Do not let a leg float in front. Keep it behind. Keep it next to the other leg. Hold for 30 seconds. All your stretches, we're going to hold for 30 seconds. Stretch your glutes. Foot on your other knee. Pull that knee to your opposite shoulder. Really wrap this forearm around your other leg. Try and narrow this gap. Try and keep this foot on the floor and don't let it pull in. So really wrap it around. Really trying to get a really big pull. This often can cause a tight ITB. So being really tight in the glutes, I'm a little bit tight, can cause that ITB to get really tight and it's going to pull your kneecap to the side because your glutes attached to your ITB. I've seen people over and over stretch the glutes really well, get flexible out of it, get rid of patellofemoral pain, get rid of chronic ITB tightness. Underneath the glutes is your piriformis. It's a deep hip external rotator. It rotates your femur out to the side. If it's tight, your femur is going to be rotated out a little bit perhaps. It's going to mean your kneecap's not going to be right in the middle. Again, chief contributor to stiff knees, patellofemoral pain. What are we going to do about it? Pitch and stretch. So shin flat on the bed, one hand pushing down, chest up nice and tall preferably, and lower your chest down. And over time you can get your chest lower and lower, which means your piriformis is getting looser. Try to keep this at 90 degrees and lower. Again, if you've a person who's got stubborn pain, my suggestion is don't focus on the pain, focus on your strength and flexibility. If they improve, your pain should decrease over time. Give it some time, give it a few weeks. If you notice you're getting generally more flexible and stronger, chronic issues tend to go away. Knee all the way back, under the couch even. Chest up very tall, posteriorly rotate your pelvis, chest goes back. Why are we doing this? If you get flexible in this muscle, you tend to take bigger strides. You tend to take longer strides and be able to stretch out while you're running. You'll feel a really good stretch down here as you do this. A lot of people only take short strides when they run. Not to say there's a problem with that, but if you can add length to your strides, you're using your hip muscles a lot more and you add variety to your running technique. Of course, repeat these stretches on both sides, chest up nice and tall. If you're tight in hip flexors, again, it does the same thing. It externally rotates your femur. Femur goes out that way. This is a right knee, out that way. Tibia relatively goes in. Kneecap gets unfortunately caught in the middle of a twisting knee. For a tight knee, this often is underrated. If your calves and your soleus are tight, you likely won't be able to squat fully deeply. You're not getting full range of motion in your knee, and it can again cause a bit of twisting in your knee because those calf muscles insert right to the back of your knee. Standing on an incline board, it is better with a wall here. I'm just using a chair for demonstration purposes. Now, knees locked out straight. Don't leave them bent, lock them out straight. Pelvis not poking backwards, try to bring it forwards, trying to bring your groin over your toes, lean into a wall and hold it there. Hold it for 30 seconds and also do it one leg at a time. Hold it for 30 seconds that way. Do it with a slight bend in your knees to hit the soleus muscles and do the same thing. Do it on one leg at a time as well. Great guys, you've mastered the bed exercises, you've mastered the stretches and you're starting to use them. You're starting to walk, do a bit of a power walk. You're considering jogging, but let's master the body weight exercise first. First of all, just a simple squat. Knees over toes. Let them go over the toes to get full knee bend, get full range of motion in your knee. Even practice holding it at the bottom if you're not too sore. If you have a meniscal condition or a patellofemoral pain or knee arthritis, this could be sore at the beginning, so do be careful. But gradually, over time, you should be able to squat deeper and deeper. Compression is important for having healthy joints. The only exception to this is if you have severe or very painful knee arthritis and you've tried it for a while and it doesn't work for you and it adds swelling, back off. So all the way down. If you can't go all the way down, start with that, but over time, make it your priority to squat a little bit deeper. You can use a chair, you can use something to hold on to, and over time, you'll be able to go deeper and deeper. Add a little bit of pause, you'll feel your quads burning, and if you master that, get some weights, or just do some bottom half squats. These are legit hard for quads. So bottom half and pulse up. Do it 20 times. Add weight if necessary. Next, master single leg sit to stand. The advantage of this over squats is that you're training one leg at a time. So it's a good idea to compare your right leg to your left leg. You may be subconsciously putting more weight on your good leg than your bad leg. This will tell you which leg is weaker and what you need to focus on. You can start from a chair, you can put a cushion on top. Once that gets too easy, do it with no cushion. Try to make a soft landing, don't just plop down. Little tap and back up again. Over time, if that gets too easy, do it on the cushion that you are standing on. And you can add 2 cushions to make it even harder, until you can go even lower. In a similar way, to train your right leg versus your left leg, your injured leg versus your uninjured leg, try bulgarians. So it's great to do 2-legged things like squats and jumps, but it's really important for rehab that you get good at the leg that you injured. Having a difference of more than 10% in strength is a key indicator for an ongoing likelihood of you re-injuring that leg. So with bulgarians, big step forwards. Nice big lunge, all the way down, back knee just hovering off the ground and back up again. Now again, you may not be able to go all the way down to begin with. Again, you may need to hold on to a chair. Some people use 2 chairs and you may go only a quarter of the way down. That's fine. Add a little pause. Week by week, day by day, you'll be able to go a little bit lower. You'll get rid of one hand, then both hands, then you'll have your hands on your chest and you'll be able to go a bit lower. And same thing as the bottom half squats. You can do bottom half bulgarians, add weight onto your chest. Finally, we have step downs. So standing on one leg, it requires a little bit of balance. We're going to do lateral step down. So tapping very gently with your knee next to you. You can start from a small step and go into a high step. This is about 15 centimeters. For average people, about 30 centimeters should be something you should be able to do because this is the height or thereabouts of the normal step. So nice tap and back up again. Get your chest to go over your knee. And if you get strong enough, you can do it from an even higher height, let's say 45 centimeters. For me, this is a struggle. I'll need to work on this. If I hold on to a pole, I could probably go a little bit lower. So there you go, guys. If you do all these things, you're likely strong all the way around your hip joint and your knee and your quads. Having strong quads is important to keep your kneecap in place and to prevent further arthritis of the knee. Now, if you're all doing all these things well and there's no pain, it's very likely you can start jogging and running. And from there, if you want to focus on returning to sports, the things you used to love, like soccer or rugby or cricket, you want to focus on your ability to jump and hop, which I've covered in the most recent video before this one. If you can do all those things in that video, you likely can return to sport too. Of course, all of these instructions are general. They're not for any specific person. They're for the internet in general. So if you have any questions, please go and seek your own physiotherapist who is local to you. Thanks for watching. I hope you've liked this video. Please like, follow, and subscribe.